Hi, I'm Fran with Stampendous, and we're going to have some fun with our little lion rubber stamp set that comes with some unusual dies that were designed especially to work with the WindowRama cutting dies. Each of the sets in this series offer a little bit different combination of stamps and dies and unusual things you can do with them. So I wanted to highlight why we did the little die for just the little head and this little spiral piece. So I've stamped with Memento so that I can do some color work with some of these Copic markers. I'll turn them around so you can get a quick view here of the colors I've got. So these stamps are going to cling onto your clear block. Press it in place. Use the Memento ink if you want to use your Copic markers. And I've stamped it 3 times and made sure it had a chance to dry so that I can show you a couple of tips for coloring. My type of Copic marker coloring is what most people would probably call sort of speed coloring. But just to let you see where we're going with things here. I've done 3 of them because of my plan to layer. Okay, as you can see, I've done very quick coloring and for a purpose, because now I'm going to show you how we're going to use that die and this one for the entire body. And while we're at it, we're going to cut a little spiral out of the space right there. Now I'm going to show you how this minimal amount of coloring is going to give us an incredibly three-dimensional little lion with a bobble head. So you will need to hand cut one curve here. And now we can see the layers that we've got. So we made a new little bobble small enough to fit, I'll use this one, small enough to fit within the lion's head. So the first thing is to put a little sticky square in the center, and we're going to attach that to the back. Okay. Then we're going to put another little sticky square on this area up here at the top. And now we'll just line that up. Okay. So if you had used color or white behind, you really don't see it much, but the darker paper let you see a little bit better where I was going with it. And look at that. So perhaps you can see from the top how we've got all these little spirals. And it creates a very fun little three-dimensional lion. So now I just had another idea to see if I can make a tiger. It just occurred to me that if this worked this well for making a little tiger cub, that perhaps I could make a cheetah. And then I thought maybe I can make this work like a little collar and not even cut it apart. And then we have this 6x6 with this beautiful fur patterns, and I had colored this to be the cheetah and the giraffe and the zebra. So I'm just going to play off of these patterns here. Okay, so that was a rather happy discovery, which just happened on camera live here. So in addition to making my little three-dimensional lion with minimal coloring, then I did a bit different coloring to add some little stripes, and by cutting away the mane, now I have a little tiger cub. And then I thought, why not make a cheetah? So this one, instead of cutting away, I simply drew some little lines and made a collar out of that section in between. So now I'm just going to cut away what I don't need. Although this way, I'm not making use of the fact that I have a die for the head. So it would be easy to 3D this up and put on top. But with just a little bit different color pieces. There we have a cheetah to complete the whole family. Here you'll see some photos of a couple of young cheetahs that I was able to see and even pet while I was in Kenya. I was at the animal orphanage, and these young cheetahs were just taking a nap, and they were not troubled at all to have me come in and give them a little pat. And then while I was inside the cheetah pen, all the little kids from the school had come all in their little uniforms, and they were outside looking at me in the pen, and the third cheetah was prancing back and forth in front of the fence. So these were some of my favorite photos from my trip to Kenya, and I thought I'd share them with you. The lion set comes with a wonderful little grass stamp, and I had done some coloring earlier using the Copic markers, and I just did a real simple background. The clouds are just all funky looking, and that's just the white of the paper, and the direction and colors and just creating a horizon line may be all that you need. But now let's try adding some of our grassy stamping here in the foreground. Okay, just like that. Looks interesting. And now I've added some detail that would have been a lot more work to do with the markers. And so now you have some savanna grasses there. Okay, so now let's make a WindowRama card with all of these different options and pieces that we have. There are the simplest of instructions here on the WindowRama insert, but we'll walk through it and you'll see that in lots more options. So we're going to use the base to create one large panel for the backing card. And if you have trouble seeing the score lines, it's just as well to cut two at the same time or do it out of heavier weight paper, and the score lines will be more pronounced. So we'll cut the background with that, and then using any number of interesting printed papers, you might as well use both the background and the large circle at the same time to create an interesting panel for the front. And you want to fold it on that score line that's 1 inch in. And sometimes it's easiest to find it by just pressing against the inside of the circle. So here we have a backing piece. Here we have a window piece. And since the lion set comes with this die, you can see that instead of the circle, you might opt to cut these two together to create this window. And notice that because they're separate pieces, you could turn it all different directions, have the foliage at the top or to the side, and of course the paper can get flipped so that you have lots of possibilities. Here you can see by doing it on the printed paper that I have this pattern from the lion, and this one is from, let's see, the elephant. And you can use those two together in printed papers or solid colors. And if you want to use these two together, and again, you can turn it all different directions, then you can die cut a panel like this that just happens to be the perfect fit to go behind the circle of the WindowRama. So now I'm going to play with some pieces and come up with a couple of fun combinations that put it all together. So if you have the WindowRama die, you have the leaves from that, and I used those and clipped them into two pieces, and that added a little bit more detail to the front. And now I'm going to add our little tiger cub, and I'm going to we'll make sure this tail isn't hanging off the edge, since it may not hold up there, but we'll tuck him in right there. Okay, and then we'll do glue. And then a helpful tip as you're securing these together, press it completely flat so that you know it's won't be warped in any way, but completely flat as you press the last two side panels together. And one other warning, you want to just be sure that you're not applying glue or adhesives that are going to stick from one layer to another. So putting the adhesive there is the safe way to do it. And again, you can have something going off of one side or the other, as long as it doesn't extend past the depth of that 1-inch side panel. And I think it makes it more dynamic that way to have something coming off the edge. And all the more surprise that each of these will now go completely flat and fit inside an A2 envelope. So this one as well, this little piece hangs over the edge, and even having made them quite three-dimensional, it will all tuck into your envelope. This is just your standard A2 envelope, and you can tuck it all in, and you can easily pop them out, and then they just push to prop them up, and then they stand up beautifully. So there's two more very fun lion and even tiger cub cards.